my name is Ava. I am 29 years old, and this is my story. For 5 years, I was married to a wonderful man. His name was Liam. Our life was simple, and I thought it was perfect. We lived in a small blue house. It had a white fence and a little garden in the back. I loved our garden. I grew red tomatoes and yellow flowers. Liam built me a small bench to sit there. He painted it my favorite color, green. Liam was the kindest man I knew. He had warm brown eyes. His smile could make a bad day good. I met him when I was 23. I was working in a little bookstore. He came in one day looking for a book of poems. He was tall and a little shy. We started talking. It was easy to talk to him. He listened. He really listened. The next day, he came back. And the day after that. Soon, he was not just coming for books. He was coming to see me. He told me he was an orphan. His parents died in a car crash when he was very young, he said. He told me he grew up in different homes. He never had a real family. His story made my heart ache. I wanted to give him all the love he never had. I wanted to build a family with him. A safe, happy family. He told me I was his home. He said, "Ava, with you, I am not alone anymore." Those words made me so happy. We got married on a sunny day in June. It was a small wedding, just our close friends. My parents loved Liam. My mother always said, "He is such a good man, Ava. He looks at you with so much love." And he did. I felt it. In the morning, he always made me coffee. He remembered I liked it with a little milk and no sugar. At night, he would hold my hand as we fell asleep. Our life was quiet. It was peaceful. I thought this was forever. I really did. Liam worked in construction. He managed big projects in different cities. Sometimes, he had to travel for work. He would be gone for a few days. I missed him a lot when he was away. But he always called me every night. He would tell me about his day. He would ask about mine. He would say, "I miss you, Ava. I'm counting the minutes until I come home to you." I believed him. I never had a reason not to believe him. Our first 5 years of marriage were beautiful. We talked about having children one day. We imagined a little boy with his father's smile, or a little girl with my love for books. We made plans. We built a life. I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. I had a loving husband, a beautiful home, a simple, happy life. I thought I knew everything about the man I married. I was wrong, so very wrong. The changes were small at first, so small I almost didn't notice them. Liam started traveling for work more often. Before, it was a few days a month. Then it became a week, sometimes 2 weeks. He said it was a big new project. It was very important for his company. I understood. I wanted to be a supportive wife. "Of course, my love," I would say. "I understand. I'll be here waiting for you." But the phone calls at night started to change. They became shorter. Sometimes he sounded tired, distracted. I would ask him, "Is everything okay, Liam?" He would always say, Yes, just very busy, Ava. This project is a lot of work. I'm sorry. I would feel a little sad, but then I would tell myself to be strong. He was working hard for us, for our future. One time, he was away for our anniversary. Our 5th anniversary. He called me. He sounded so sorry. Ava, I am so sorry. I tried to come home, but my boss said I have to stay. There is a big problem here. I was very disappointed. I had planned a special dinner, but I hid my sadness. It's okay, Liam, I told him. We can celebrate when you come back. He promised he would make it up to me. He sent me a big bouquet of beautiful red roses. The card said, "To my amazing wife, I love you more than words can say." I read the card and smiled. The flowers were beautiful, but my heart still felt a little empty that night. When he came home, he was tired, but he was sweet. He brought me a beautiful necklace. We went out for a fancy dinner. He held my hand across the table. He looked into my eyes. "I love you, Ava," he said. "Never forget that." In that moment, all my small worries disappeared. This was my Liam, my loving husband. Everything was fine. I was just being silly. Then, a few weeks later, I was doing laundry. I was emptying the pockets of his work pants. I found a receipt. It was from a toy store in a small town about 2 hours away. A town he never mentioned working in. He had bought a small toy car, a blue one. It was not expensive, but it was strange. We didn't have any children. Our friends didn't have young children. Who was the toy car for? That evening, I asked him about it. I tried to sound casual. "Hey, I found this receipt in your pocket. From a toy store." I showed it to him. For a second, just a tiny second, I saw a strange look in his eyes. Was it fear? Panic? It was gone so fast, I thought I imagined it. He smiled his usual warm smile. "Oh, that," he said easily. "It was for my colleague's son. His birthday was last week. I forgot to get him a gift, so I stopped at a store on my way back." It made sense. It was a simple explanation. Why did I feel strange about it? "That was so nice of you," I said. He nodded. Of course. The little guy was so happy. He changed the subject then. He asked me about my day. I let it go. But a small seed of doubt was planted in my heart. A tiny, cold seed. The work trips continued. The distance between us grew. Sometimes, even when he was home, he seemed far away. He was on his phone more often. He would walk into another room to take calls. He said they were from work, from his boss. But his voice was always low. Quiet, almost a whisper. Once I walked into the room when he was on the phone. He saw me and ended the call quickly. "Sorry, work stuff," he said, not looking at me. The cold seed in my heart grew a little bigger. I started to feel lonely. Even when Liam was next to me. Our house was still quiet, but it was not a peaceful quiet anymore. It was a heavy quiet, a quiet full of unspoken words. I wanted to ask him what was wrong. I wanted to shout, "Talk to me. What is happening?" But I was scared. Scared of the answer. Scared of breaking the fragile piece of our life. What if I was just imagining things? What if I pushed him away with my questions? So I stayed quiet. I pretended everything was normal. But inside, I was breaking. My friends noticed I was sad. "You seem quiet lately, Ava," my best friend Sarah told me one day. We were having coffee. I wanted to tell her everything. My fears, my doubts. But how could I? It felt disloyal to Liam. It made my fears feel too real. So I just shook my head. "I'm just tired," I said. "Liam is working so much." She looked at me with worried eyes, but she didn't push. I felt so alone, trapped in my beautiful blue house, with my beautiful, perfect husband who was becoming a stranger. I told myself I was being crazy. He was a good man. He loved me. He was just stressed from work. Every loving husband has stressful times. I needed to be more patient, more understanding. I tried. I really tried. I cooked his favorite meals. I left him little notes in his suitcase when he traveled. I tried to bring back the connection we had. Sometimes, for a little while, it worked. He would smile. He would hold me close, and I would feel a glimmer of hope. But then he would leave for another trip, and the distance would return. The cold seed of doubt in my heart was not so small anymore. It was growing into a painful, thorny vine, and it was wrapping itself around my heart. The day my world fell apart was a Saturday. It was a beautiful, sunny autumn day. The leaves on the trees were red and gold. I decided to visit a small town nearby. It was famous for its autumn festival. There were pumpkins and apple cider. I had never been there before. I just wanted to do something for myself, something to escape the heavy quiet of my house. I told Liam I was going. He was leaving for another work trip that morning. He kissed me goodbye. "Have fun, Ava. Be safe," he said. He seemed normal. He smiled. I watched him drive away. Then I got in my own car and drove in the opposite direction. The festival was lovely. The town was small and charming. People were laughing. Children were running around, their faces painted like cats and superheroes. For the first time in a long time, I felt a little bit lighter. I bought a cup of warm apple cider. I walked around, looking at the craft stalls. The sun was warm on my face. I felt a small moment of peace. Then I saw him, a little boy. He was standing near a big pile of pumpkins. He couldn't have been more than 4 years old. He had light brown hair that curled just a little at the ends. He was wearing a small blue jacket. But it was his face that made my heart stop. He had Liam's eyes, the same warm brown color, the same shape. And he had Liam's smile. He was smiling at a small puppy. It was a smile that reached his eyes, the exact same smile I had fallen in love with. It was like looking at a tiny version of my husband. My breath caught in my throat. My cup of cider felt heavy in my hand. It must be a coincidence, I told myself. Many people have similar eyes, similar smiles, It was impossible. It had to be. I started to walk away. My mind was racing, but my feet felt stuck. I couldn't stop looking at him. The little boy turned. He saw me staring. He gave me a small, shy smile. My heart ached. He looked so sweet, so innocent. He started to run towards a woman who was buying a pie at a stall. He tripped on a loose stone. He fell down. He started to cry. Without thinking, I rushed over to him. I knelt down beside him. "Are you okay, little one?" I asked softly. His knee was scraped. A little bit of blood. He was crying, big tears rolling down his chubby cheeks. I took a tissue from my purse. I gently wiped his tears. "It's okay," I said. "You're a brave boy." He looked up at me. His crying started to slow down. He looked at my face with his big, brown, familiar eyes. He gave me a watery smile. And then he said the words that shattered my world into a million pieces. "Thank you, Auntie," he whispered. Auntie, he called me Auntie. Why? My head was spinning. Before I could say anything, a woman's voice called out, "Leo, Leo, honey, are you okay?" The woman from the pie stall was rushing towards us. She was pretty. She had kind eyes and long, dark hair. She knelt down beside the boy, beside me. "Oh, my baby," she said, hugging him. "What happened?" "I fell, Mommy," the little boy Leo said. "Mommy," his mother. She looked at the scraped knee. "Oh, it's just a little scrape. We'll clean it up at home." She then looked at me. "Thank you so much for helping him," she said with a grateful smile. I couldn't speak. My mouth was dry. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I just nodded. I started to stand up. I needed to leave. I needed to run away from this place, from this boy who looked like my husband. But then another voice came. A voice I knew better than my own. A voice that used to be my comfort, my safe place. "Is everything all right, honey?" I froze. I slowly turned my head. And there he was, my husband, Liam. He was walking towards us. He was carrying a bag of apples. He was smiling. He wasn't on a work trip. He was here, at this festival, with this woman and this little boy. His eyes met mine. The smile on his face disappeared. It was replaced by a look of pure shock, of pure terror. The bag of apples fell from his hand. Red apples rolled across the ground. The world seemed to move in slow motion. The woman, his wife, looked from Liam's face to my face. She looked confused. "Liam, do you know her?" she asked. Liam just stared at me. His face was pale. He couldn't speak. The little boy, Leo, looked at him and then at me. "Daddy," he said happily, pointing at Liam. "This nice auntie helped me." "Daddy," the word echoed in the silent space between us. "Daddy." The woman's eyes widened. She looked at me again. This time, not with gratitude, but with confusion. And then, slowly, with dawning horror and understanding. She saw the truth in my shocked face. She saw the guilt on Liam's. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The air was gone. The happy sounds of the festival faded into a loud, ringing in my ears. This wasn't real. This was a nightmare. A terrible, terrible nightmare. I was going to wake up in my bed, in my small blue house. And Liam would be there. And he would be just my husband. Not a father. Not another woman's husband. But I didn't wake up. This was real. My husband, the man who told me he was an orphan, the man who said I was his only family, had another family. A secret family, a wife, and a son. A son with his own eyes and his own smile. And I was just the other woman. The lie, the secret. I don't remember how I got away. I think I just turned and walked. Or maybe I ran. I pushed through the crowds of happy families. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back. Tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't see clearly. I just kept moving, away from him, away from them, away from the ruins of my life. I finally found my car. I got in. I locked the doors. I sat there, shaking. My hands couldn't hold the steering wheel. I just sat there and cried. I cried for the 5 years I had lost. I cried for the love I thought was real. I cried for the woman I was, the happy, trusting woman who died that day, in the middle of a beautiful autumn festival. I drove home somehow. I don't remember the journey. The world outside my car was a blur. All I could see was his face, the shock in his eyes, the little boy's smile, the other woman's confused face. Daddy, Mommy, Auntie. The words repeated in my head. A terrible song of my broken life. When I got to our small blue house, it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a stage, a place where we acted out a play. The play of a happy marriage. It was all a lie. The white fence, the green bench, the red tomatoes in the garden. All of it was a lie. I walked inside. The house was empty, quiet. I walked through the rooms. Our living room with the sofa where we watched movies. Our kitchen where I cooked his favorite meals. Our bedroom where he held me and told me he loved me. Every corner of this house held a memory. And now every memory was poisoned. Every memory was a lie. I sat on the edge of our bed. I felt numb, empty, like someone had scooped out everything inside of me. My love, my trust, my hope. It was all gone, replaced by a cold, heavy emptiness. How could he do this? How could a person live 2 lives? How could he look me in the eyes, day after day, and lie? He told me he was an orphan. That was the biggest lie of all. It was the foundation of our story. I felt so much love and sympathy for the lonely orphan boy. I wanted to heal his past, but his past wasn't what he said it was. He didn't have no family. He had a whole other one. One he hid from me. Hours passed. The sun went down. The house grew dark. I didn't turn on any lights. I just sat there in the dark, waiting. I knew he would come. He had to come here. This was his other life, the life he had to lie about. Finally, I heard his car in the driveway. I heard the front door open. Ava, he called out. His voice was shaky, afraid. I didn't answer. He walked through the dark house until he found me in the bedroom. He turned on a small lamp. Its soft light showed the tears on my face. It showed the pain in his. He looked terrible. His face was pale. His eyes were red. He looked broken. For a moment, a stupid, small part of me felt sorry for him. But then I remembered the little boy, the other woman, and the pity turned into a cold, hard anger. "Who is she, Liam?" I asked. My voice was quiet, but it was strong. I didn't recognize my own voice. He flinched. He couldn't look at me. He looked at the floor. "Her name is Sarah," he whispered. "Sarah," I repeated the name. It felt strange in my mouth. "And the little boy, Leo, is he your son?" He finally looked at me. Tears were falling from his eyes now. He nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "He's my son. He's 4 years old." 4 years old. We had been married for 5 years. The numbers spun in my head. He had been with her, with them, for almost our entire marriage. It wasn't a new mistake. It was a whole other life. Why, I asked. It was the only question I had, the only word I could say. Why, Liam? He sat down on the floor. He didn't come near me. He looked like a man who had been defeated. "I don't know," he started, his voice cracking. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I said. My voice rose. "Complicated is when you can't decide what to have for dinner. This is not complicated. This is a lie. A whole life built on lies." "I know," he cried. "I know, Ava. And I am so, so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this," I said, my voice cold as ice. "Tell me everything. I deserve to know the truth. For once, just tell me the truth." And so he did. He told me the whole ugly story. Sarah was his high school girlfriend. They were together for a long time. They had planned a future, but they had a big fight. They broke up. He moved to our city to start a new life. That's when he met me. He said he truly fell in love with me. He said what we had was real. But a year after we were married, Sarah contacted him. She told him she was pregnant with his child. He was shocked. He didn't know what to do. He went to see her. He saw the baby, Leo, and he couldn't walk away. He couldn't abandon his son. So he started living 2 lives. He told Sarah he had a new job that required a lot of travel. He told me the same thing. He spent half his time with her and their son in their small town. He spent the other half with me in our blue house. He built 2 separate worlds. "Why didn't you just tell me?" I cried. "Why did you have to lie for years?" "I was a coward," he said, sobbing. "I was so scared. I loved you both. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. I loved the life I had with you, Ava, our peace, our love. And I loved my son. I couldn't choose. I didn't want to lose either of you, so I tried to have both. And I ended up destroying everything. He loved me. He loved her. He loved his son. He was a coward who couldn't make a choice. And his cowardice had ruined my life. It had ruined her life too. I thought about Sarah. Did she know about me? Does she know about me? I asked. He shook his head. No, she thought I was just traveling for work all this time. Today, she found out everything. I thought of her face, the confusion turning to horror. Her world had fallen apart today too. All because of this man crying on our bedroom floor. He hadn't just betrayed me. He had betrayed her too. He had betrayed his own son. You need to leave, Liam, I said. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. I was too tired to be angry anymore, too broken to cry. Get your things and go. Ava, please, he begged. We can talk about this. We can fix this. I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I thought I knew was gone. In his place was a stranger, a liar, a weak man who had caused so much pain. Fix this, I said with a hollow laugh. There is nothing to fix, Liam. It was never real. You built our marriage on a lie about being an orphan. You built our life on lies about your work. None of it was real. So there is nothing left to fix. He saw the finality in my eyes. He knew it was over. He slowly stood up. He walked to the closet and pulled out a suitcase. The same suitcase he always took on his work trips. He packed some clothes. His hands were shaking. He didn't say anything else. When he was done, he walked to the door. He stopped and looked back at me one last time. I truly did love you, Ava, he whispered. I didn't reply. I just stared at the wall. I heard the front door close. I heard his car start. I heard it drive away. And then there was silence. A real, complete silence. He was gone. My marriage was over. My life as I knew it was over. I was finally, truly alone. And in the dark, silent house, I had to figure out how to begin again. The days after Liam left were a blur of pain. It felt like I was living in a thick fog. Nothing seemed real. I would wake up in the morning, and for a split second, I would forget. I would expect to smell coffee. I would expect to see him sleeping next to me. Then, the memory would crash down on me. The festival, the little boy, the lie, and the pain would start all over again. It was a heavy weight on my chest. It made it hard to breathe. I didn't eat much. I didn't sleep much. I called my boss at the bookstore and told her I was sick. I couldn't face people. I couldn't face their questions. My small blue house, my dream home, felt like a prison. Every object held a memory of Liam. The green bench in the garden. The coffee mug he used every morning. The books we read together. I wanted to pack everything into boxes and throw it away. But I didn't have the energy. Moving felt impossible. My parents and my friend Sarah called me. They were worried. I had told them that Liam and I were having problems. I didn't tell them the whole truth at first. It was too shameful, too painful to say out loud. My husband has another family. The words felt like poison. So I just said we were taking a break. But Sarah knew me too well. She knew something was very wrong. One afternoon, she came to my house. She didn't call first. She just showed up. She found me sitting on the kitchen floor, crying. She didn't say anything. She just sat down on the floor with me. She put her arms around me, and I finally told her everything. I told her about the orphan story, the work trips, the little boy at the festival. I told her about the other wife, Sarah. I cried, and I talked until I had no more words left. Sarah just listened. She held my hand. She let me be broken. When I was finished, she said, "He is a monster, Ava. What he did is unforgivable. But this is not your fault. You did nothing wrong. You just loved a man who didn't deserve your love." Her words were a small comfort in my ocean of pain. She was right. It wasn't my fault. I had been lied to. I was a victim of his weakness, his cowardice. Having Sarah there helped. She made me eat a little soup. She made sure I drank some water. She stayed with me for a few days. She helped me do the first hard thing. We went through the house and packed all of Liam's things into boxes. His clothes, his books, his photos. We put the boxes in the garage, out of sight. It was a small step, but it felt huge. It was the first step in taking back my house, taking back my life. A few weeks later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Liam was filing for divorce. It was official. Our marriage was ending. Reading the words on the paper hurt. But it was also a relief. It was the final, clean break. There was no going back. I had to tell my parents the truth then. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life. They were so shocked, so angry at Liam. They had loved him like a son. My mother cried with me. My father was quiet, but his face was full of anger. They wanted to help me. They wanted me to come home and live with them. I was grateful for their love, but I knew I had to do this on my own. I had to learn to stand on my own 2 feet again. I couldn't hide from the world forever. Slowly, very slowly, I started to rebuild my life. I went back to work at the bookstore. It was hard at first. The customers would ask about Liam. "How is your lovely husband?" they would say. In the beginning, I would just mumble something like, "He's fine." But one day, an elderly lady asked, and I decided to stop hiding. I took a deep breath. "We are getting a divorce," I said, my voice clear and steady. The lady looked surprised, but then her face softened with kindness. "I am sorry to hear that, dear," she said. "I hope you will be all right." Her simple kindness meant so much to me. It made me feel less ashamed, less alone. I decided to sell the blue house. It had too many memories, too many ghosts. I needed a fresh start, a place that was just mine, a place that had no connection to Liam. It was sad to leave my little garden, but I knew it was the right thing to do. I found a small, sunny apartment in a different part of the city. It was all mine. I painted the walls a cheerful yellow. I bought new furniture, small, simple things that I chose, that I loved. Creating my new home was healing. Every picture I hung on the wall, every book I placed on the shelf, was a step towards my new life. A life without Liam. A life that was just for me. I was scared. I was a single woman again at 29. My future looked so different from the one I had planned. But in a strange way, it was also exciting. I could do anything. I could be anyone. For the first time in a long time, my life was my own. I never saw Liam again. The divorce was handled through our lawyers. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that he had moved to be with Sarah and his son permanently. I sometimes thought about them. About Sarah, the other woman who was also betrayed. I hoped she found some peace. I hoped the little boy, Leo, would be okay. He was innocent in all of this. I felt no hatred for him. Only sadness for the broken world he was born into. The healing process was long, and it was not a straight line. There were good days when I felt strong and hopeful, and there were bad days when the sadness would come back, when I would miss the man I thought Liam was. On those days, I would allow myself to be sad. I would cry. I would talk to Sarah. But I wouldn't let the sadness swallow me. I learned that it's okay to feel pain. It's part of being human. It's part of healing. I started doing things just for me. I joined a hiking club. I started taking a pottery class. I met new people. I made new friends. I started to laugh again. A real, deep laugh that came from my heart. I started to feel like Ava again. Not Liam's wife. Not the broken woman. Just Ava. One day, about a year after the divorce, I was walking in a park. I saw a young family playing. A father was pushing his little son on a swing. The mother was watching, smiling. For a moment, I felt a familiar pang of sadness. A sadness for the family I thought I would have. But then the feeling passed, and it was replaced by a quiet feeling of peace. My life was different, but it was good. It was my life. I was strong. I was a survivor. Living through that betrayal was the hardest thing I have ever done. It broke my heart. It broke my trust in people. But it did not break me. It taught me something important. It taught me that I am much stronger than I ever thought. It taught me that I can survive the worst storms. And it taught me that my happiness does not depend on a man. It depends on me. My name is Ava, and this was my story. If you are listening to this and you are going through a hard time, please know this. You are not alone. Pain is temporary. Your heart can heal. It takes time. It takes courage. But you can do it. Be kind to yourself. Take it one day at a time. Find the things that bring you small moments of joy and hold on to them. You are strong. You are brave. And you deserve to be happy. You can do this too. Keep going. Your new life is waiting for you.